Part 38. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 371. Chapter 371 Tear the Four. Chapter 371 Tear the Four. At this moment, Qian Yuman admired Fang Qingguo's strength very much, and mentally calculated whether she could fight with her sister in a one-on-one fight. Maybe relying on her strength, she would not lose to her sister. The muscles on her body are not in vain, and they are so easy to bend that it is hard to break them with an iron broomstick. At this moment, Fang Qingguo's face that loves the country and the city became particularly secure, which deeply impressed Qian Yuman. Tang Xinglu didn't expect Fang Qingguo to take action, so she immediately yelled at the top of her voice. "You ugly, manly woman, you teamed up with outsiders to bully me." Tang Xinglu could still talk without scolding, but this scolding completely offended Fang Qingguo. Fang Qingguo threw the broom in his hand the ground, grabbed Tang Xinglu's neck with one hand, lifted her up in the air, and cursed angrily. "You are a girl. You have been disobedient since you were a child. Now you don't even have basic respect. You actually call my sister and me ugly." Tang Xinglu, whose face turned red, stood up in the air and slapped Fang Qingguo's hand vigorously. However, her strength was like a mosquito, completely useless. Qi Yuqing rushed over, immediately grabbed one of Fang Qingguo's arms, and shouted anxiously. "Fang Qingguo, let go of Xinglu. You will strangle her to death. You actually beat your cousin for an outsider." Fang Qingguo turned around and felt sick when he saw Qi Yuqing's pitiful face. She has been disgusted since she was a child looking at Qi Yuqing's pitiful and innocent face, especially since this person is her cousin's fiancé whom she has admired since childhood. The more she looks at her, the more disgusted she becomes, and she doesn't like her at all. Seeing her helping Tang Xinglu, he stretched out his hand to push her, pushed Qi Yuqing to the ground, and sat down the ground. Fang Qingguo let go of Tang Xinglu. Tang Xinglu, who was finally out of the clutches, breathed heavily and looked at the cousin who had been extremely strong since childhood with some fear. "You bitch, why do you care about our family affairs? Get away as far as you can, I feel sick when I see you, a green tea bitch." Fang Qingguo clenched his fist as if to hit her. If he could shock her, he would beat her up. Qi Yuqing's tears fell instantly. She cried so pitifully that her body was shaking uncontrollably. She sat on the ground and cried sadly. Tang Xinglu climbed up to Qi Yuqing, glared at Fang Qingguo angrily, and turned back to talk to Qi Yuqing. "Sister Yuqing, let's go, I want to complain to grandma." Fang Qingguo waved his hand impatiently. Go quickly, you will be in the way if I see you." Finally, Tang Xinglu and Qi Yuqing left in embarrassment. Fang Qingguo's hands were broadcast live to tear up two rich ladies who were looking for trouble. Qian Yuman's heart felt happy, and her eyes became hot when she looked at Fang Qingguo. Qian Yuman walked up to Fang Qingguo, hugged her thick arm, and confessed passionately. "Strong man, thank you for saving the little girl. The little girl is willing to give her life to you." Fang Qingguo touched the back of his head in embarrassment. "It's nothing. Do you really want to commit yourself to me? Since your snacks are so delicious, I will reluctantly accept you." Qian Yuman burst out laughing. He couldn't control it and he was laughing so much. Wait for the little lady to make a bunch of delicious snacks for you to eat." Okay, Fang Qingguo nodded happily, his eyes were shining, and he was looking forward to the delicious food being served. Qian Yuman turned around and was busy again, but not long after she was busy, Tang Xinglu, who had asked for help, came again. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 372. Chapter 372, Tear the Apart 5. Chapter 372, Tear the Apart 5. "Grandma, you must help me vent my anger. Teacher May and my cousin teamed up to bully me. Look, my neck was red, and I pushed Sister Yuking down hard. Tang Xinglu complained loudly, looking at Qian Yumans. There was gloating in his eyes. Qi Yuking, on the other hand, silently shed tears on the sidelines. She cried so hard that it was so endearing that she seemed to have been greatly wronged. This tone and words are like calling Qian Yuman and Fang Qingguo extremely evil. Grandma Tang still had a serious face and did not express an opinion immediately. Instead, she glanced around and frowned slightly when she saw the embarrassment on Qian Yuman's body and the fear in her eyes. Ching ching, what happened? Tang Xinglu just explained the process on the way here, but Grandma Tang still had to listen to Fang Qingguo. Fang Qingguo snorted at Tang Xinglu, pretending to be pitiful. She could do it too. Fang Qingguo tilted his mouth and tears fell, as if he was crying at the scene of a car accident. Grandma Tang, do you know that Xinglu goes too far? Just now I fell asleep while waiting for Teacher May's snacks, and woke up when I heard the sound of arguing. When I heard the sound, I went over and saw Xinglu holding a broom and trying to hit Teacher May. I immediately stepped forward and took the broom away. As a result, Xinglu called me ugly and insulted me. Fang Qingguo spoke truthfully, while Qian Yuman nodded and said nothing. Grandma Tang looked at Qian Yuman again and asked, "Why are you arguing?" Qian Yuman shook his head in confusion. "I don't know why they were looking for me. As soon as they came over, they knocked over my plate and made me covered in egg white. Then they said a bunch of inexplicable words. I thought they were rich ladies and I didn't dare to provoke them, so I just tolerated them. I came down and continued to make snacks, but they wanted to beat me." As he spoke, Qian Yuman trembled with fear and hid behind Fang Qingguo to seek shelter. "You lied, how could you not understand, we..." Before Tang Xinglu could finish what she wanted to say, she was stopped by Qi Yuking, so she didn't reveal Qian Yuman's true identity. Qi Yuking was a little angry. It was indeed scary to have teammates who were like pigs. Tang Xinglu was indeed a brainless young lady with little success and more than failure. She didn't realize that Grandma Tang's heart was already leaning towards Teacher May and the others. "Originally, I just came to meet Qi Lili, but now I want to reveal her true identity, which almost ruined the plan." Grandma Tang had a serious face, looked at the four women present with wise eyes, and spoke sternly. "Let's just let this matter go. I know you are all angry. If word spread about the quarrel between you three rich ladies, it will only embarrass you. No matter who is right or wrong, I don't want to see you quarreling again, otherwise I will definitely teach you a lesson." "Grandma, how could you let it go like this? They teamed up to bully me." Tang Xinglu didn't expect the result to be like this and frowned unhappily. She was almost strangled to death just now. Grandma Tang glared at her only granddaughter. "Don't think that I don't know your character. You went to Lady College for more than a month and learned nothing. Your unruly character is still there. Do you want to be sent back to school before the summer vacation is over?" Tang Xinglu was stunned when she heard that she was going to be sent back to school. She could only stare at Qian Yuman with vicious eyes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 373. Chapter 373, Tear the Six Apart. Chapter 373, Tear the Six Apart. Humph, just be proud of yourself. I'll have some good fruits for you in the future. Tang Xinglu fluttered her sleeves and left angrily. Qi Yuking followed Tang Xinglu away, but her face was still crying, expressing her grievances all the time. Qian Yuman sneered in her heart. This Qi Yuking was not restless at all, and she still wanted to embarrass her. As Fang Qingguo said, green tea makes people sick just looking at it. The irritating person left, and Fang Qingguo shed a few tears and stopped crying. But these few tears made her eyeliner melt and drip down her face, making her snow-white face even uglier. Qian Yuman couldn't bear to look directly at him and turned his head slightly. Grandma Tang walked to Qian Yuman's side, stretched out her hand and took Qian Yuman's hand to comfort her. "I've wronged you." Qian Yuman shook her head. Where did she feel wronged? She felt great today. Seeing them suffer a series of losses made her so happy that she wanted to go for a run outside. "You continue to make snacks, and I will ask the servant to prepare a change of clothes for you. After you are done, go to the guest room to rest for a while, take a bath and take care of yourself." "Thank you, Grandma Tang." At this time, the first batch of snacks was ready, the oven made a clanging sound, and two people, an old man and a young man, rushed to the oven in an instant. "It's the matcha cupcake and cheesecake I want," Grandma Tang shouted excitedly. "I have my chicken cake," Fang Qingguo said excitedly. The two of them were about to take it out. Qian Yuman smiled and walked over to stop them. Taking it directly would burn them to death. Qian Yuman, the chef who is also the pastry chef of the Tang family, worked hard for 3 hours and finally made all the dim sum, which was quite generous. Grandma Tang, Tang Yuj, Tang Xingai, and Fang Qingguo, who had eaten Qian Yuman's snacks, had already started eating. Even Lu Rong, who came smelling the fragrance, also ate a lot. When Tang's father and Tang Feishan came back from work, they also ate some. As a result, not many people had dinner, and everyone went to have snacks. By the time Qian Yuman finished her work, it was already dark, and Grandma Tang held her back and refused to let her go. "Teacher Mei, please stay tonight. You have been making snacks for us for so long today, and I feel sad. Our Tang family has everything, including saunas, spas, hot springs and other soothing treatments for the body and mind. You just stay tonight." Qian Yuman shook his head and refused. "Grandma Tang, no need, it's not hard. I still have dogs that I need to feed." Grandma Tang was not happy when she heard this. "It doesn't matter if the dog misses one meal. He must stay today. That's it." The matter was settled in a lawsuit, and Qian Yuman was helpless for a while. Qian Yuman was helpless after being forced to stay, but she didn't dare to go to the hot springs and saunas, which were taboos for pregnant women. She wandered in the garden for a while and then went to rest, thinking about going home early tomorrow morning. However, she forgot one thing. Grandma Tang is not the only one in this family, but also her new husband Tang Yuj. How could he, who had been left out in the cold during the day, let go of this opportunity? He hadn't slept with his wife in his arms for a long time. When Qian Yuman returned to the room, she saw a man lying on the soft big bed. The man had a monster face and was lying on the bed and firing electricity at her. Like a thief, Qian Yuman looked around to make sure no one was peeking, closed the door, and rubbed her palms with a smile. "Monster, where can you run?" Qian Yuman rushed over with a smile, climbed onto the bed, pushed Tang Yuj down, and straddled him. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 374. Chapter 374 Childhood 1. Chapter 374 Childhood 1. Tang Yuj shouted in a hoarse voice on purpose. "Taoist master, just let me go." Qian Yuman shook her head quickly, pulled open his clothes, and shouted. "No, you monster has done too many unscrupulous things. I must replace God and give you the supreme punishment." The two of them laughed and laughed, lying on the bed happily. Qian Yuman hugged Tang Yuj's waist and raised her head to look at him. "When did you sneak in?" "When you went to the garden, I wanted to accompany you, but I was afraid of meeting my cousin." Qian Yuman laughed, sat up and began to take off his clothes to check the wound. Seeing the wound that was still bandaged, She frowned in distress and gently touched his wound with her fingers. Does it hurt? Tanyuj showed a pitiful expression, grabbed her arm, put it on his heart, and said softly. It hurts so much. I haven't been with my wife these past few days, which makes my heart hurt even more. Qian Yuman smiled and stretched out her fingers to poke at his wound. Seeing the pain in his face, she smiled even more happily. Wife, do you still have any conscience? You're still talking. I saw you and cousin Qing Cheng having a lot of fun today. Qian Yuman deliberately emphasized the word to tease him. Stop talking, this is the biggest shadow in my heart since I was a child. Tanyuj covered his eyes heartbrokenly. Don't mention the past anymore, it will only make him more hurt, and he will feel unspeakable pain. He, but cousin Qing Cheng is still very cute. She helped me today to avoid being bullied by your sister and Chi Yuking, Qian Yuman said with a smile as her cousin spoke. To be honest, she really likes this person. Cousin, except that she is a bit uglier, she has no other shortcomings. Tanyuj put down his hand, held Qian Yuman in his arms, and asked with concern. Have you ever been bullied? No. The people being bullied are Xinglu and the others, and they still want to bully me? Not to mention cousin Qing Cheng. One beats two of them, and they can only cry when they are taught a lesson. Thinking of the scene of them being bullied, Qian Yuman felt happy, unprecedentedly happy. Ha ha ha, I heard what grandma said. If Xinglu bullies you again next time, tell me, and I will send her directly to study abroad, so that she will not bully you at home every day, Tanyuj said seriously. He did not want his wife to be bullied by his sister. The relationship between the two became worse and worse. Qian Yuman shook her head. Tang Xinglu was the eldest lady with a bad temper and could easily be used as a weapon. Her nature was not bad, but she was a little more unruly and willful. She was only 16 years old, so it was a bit pitiful that she was sent to study abroad. Qian Yuman looked at Tanyuj and the door. Is it really okay for you to sneak in like this? You won't be afraid of your family rushing in? Tanyuj held his chin thoughtfully and thought, looked around, and analyzed carefully. This is indeed a problem. The location of this room is not good, and others may come in. I want to sleep with my wife tonight and don't want to leave. We haven't slept together for a long time, so I suggest you follow me back to my room. After Tanyuj said this, a smile flashed in his eyes, and he suddenly picked up Qian Yuman from the bed. Qian Yuman was startled and immediately hugged his neck tightly. What are you doing? What are you doing? Put me down quickly. He is getting bolder and bolder, and he still wants to act recklessly at this juncture. He is becoming increasingly incomprehensible to him. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 375. Chapter 375 Childhood Sweethearts 2. Chapter 375 Childhood Sweethearts 2. Tanyuj walked towards the door with a smile. Honey, you'd better be quiet. If you make too much noise and wake them up, your identity will be exposed. Qian Yuman was silent for a moment and covered her mouth with one hand. Tanyuj happily hugged Qian Yuman and ran to his room, moving lightly and checking to see if anyone appeared around him from time to time. The two of them moved from Qian Yuman's guest room to Tanyuj's room openly. Qian Yuman was carried all the way back to the room by Tanyuj. The whole journey was tense and exciting. She was afraid that if she met a servant or family member who came out to drink water or something, they would find these two lawless couples. Arrived safely in Tanyuj's room, Qian Yuman was frightened to death. She sat on the bed in shock and stared at the bold Tanyuj angrily. I was really nervous just now, my courage dropped to my throat. I was afraid of being discovered, but I didn't dare to lecture Tanyuj out loud for fear of attracting other people's attention. Fortunately, we finally arrived safely without being seen by anyone. But it's really exciting and fun. Honey, We haven't been affectionate for a long time. Sugar baby looked at Tianyuman pitifully. Tianyuman rolled her eyes and stretched out her hand to gently poke his wound. You're still gentle. One of us is pregnant and the other is injured. Why are you becoming more and more horny? When we were in San Francisco, were all the disguises a lie? I seduced you countless times at that time, but you were indifferent and still let me. I doubt you can. What now? Even more enthusiastic than she is, and she is still afraid because of her pregnancy. And this man couldn't control himself since he started eating meat for the first time. Sugar baby looked at her innocently and patted his chest gently. The wound is absolutely fine, and there will be no problem in fighting for 400 rounds. As for your pregnancy, we have many ways to avoid hurting the child. Wife, didn't you hold a plate of Island Country blockbusters last time? How about using your feet tonight? Okay. The sugar baby's piercing eyes are about to ejaculate, and he looks like an old pervert. After Tianyuman, a female demon, heard this, not only did she not feel uncomfortable, but her eyes lit up. Those kind of feet. That's it, sugar baby nodded vigorously. Tanghulu, what are you waiting for? Let's take action. Tianyuman happily started to take off her clothes. The clothes she was wearing were thin, but she took them off all at once. When she took off her clothes, Tanyuj had not yet taken off his clothes, so she immediately rushed over to help him take off his clothes with a smile. The temperature in the room is getting higher and higher, and certain two people are particularly eager to learn about bed matters, and they must play all the ways they know. In the hazy night, Chi Manman, who was only 3 years old, walked out of the house with a pacifier in her mouth and her white and tender calves. Humph, daddy mommy is too much. Baby, I have to run away from home. Chi Manman was carrying a little yellow duck's small backpack behind her, which contained many snacks and a gold card stolen from her father. It was all the property she had left home. Today during the day, Chian's mother gave Manman's favorite candies to her distant cousin, so the young Chi Manman ran away from home in anger, carrying a little yellow duck backpack, and chose to do so at night, in the dead of night. When Chi Manman was carrying a small backpack and walking towards the intersection on her short legs. When she was going out, she saw a little boy squatting at the door of the house next door. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 376. Chapter 376 Childhood 3. Chapter 376 Childhood 3. Chi Manman was a little puzzled and walked over with her short legs. Hey, are you a human or a ghost? Why are you squatting at the door? I heard from my mother that a family moved next door. It seemed like they just arrived yesterday, so she had never seen any of the family members who moved next door. She looked at the little boy who was squatting on the ground with his head lowered and looking at the ground. Chi Manman tilted her little head innocently. What was this big brother looking at? His head was lowered all the time. Isn't his neck sore? Hey, did you hear me? Chi Manman squatted down, stretched out her soft little paws, and grabbed the little boy's hand. The little boy finally responded. He slowly raised his head and looked at the 3-year-old baby in front of him. The moment Chi Manman's eyes saw the little boy clearly, she showed a nymphomaniac expression. She couldn't help but think that the big brother in front of her was so handsome. His long eyelashes are longer than hers, and his delicate and beautiful face is like a gift from God. Even if he is only 7 or 8 years old, you can guess that he will blind her eyes when he grows up. It's a pity that the little boy in front of him is only 7 years old, but his beautiful eyes are filled with deep sadness, and he looks at Chi Manman without any emotion. Chi Manman swallowed her saliva, and her little heart beat rapidly for the first time. She was completely killed by the handsome big brother in front of her. This was the first time she saw such a beautiful person. She had been praised for her beauty since she was a child, but in front of her elder brother, she was nothing. This was also the beginning of Tianyuman's love for beautiful men. From this day on, she knew that there were thousands of handsome men in the world, and she must appreciate these beauties with all her heart. Chi Manman saw the sadness in the little boy's eyes, frowned slightly, and reached out her hand to gently touch the little boy's brow. "Brother, what's wrong with you? Are you unhappy? Did you run away from home in the middle of the night like Manman?" The little boy still didn't speak, but kept staring at Chi Manman and the little girl in front of him who cared about him. Seeing that he still didn't speak, Chi Manman judged that he was unhappy and about to cry. She took off the little yellow duck skull bag from her back, rummaged through it, found a few candies, stuffed a few into his hand, peeled off one candy wrapper and stuffed it into her mouth. "Brother, if you are unhappy, eat some candies. When Manman is unhappy, she will eat candies and her mood will become better, try it." The little boy looked at the candy in Chi Manman's hand, and the melancholy in his eyes became even stronger. Chi Manman saw the little boy and started talking to himself. "Brother, please don't be sad. Just tell me your name first, and then you can continue to be sad, okay?" "Name?" The little boy looked down at the candy Chi Manman gave him with a confused expression. "My mother calls me Little Tang Tang," the little boy said sadly. Chi Manman's eyes were brightened because her eldest brother finally spoke, otherwise she would have doubted whether he was mute. She muttered his nickname. "Little Tang Tang? Such a cute name, then from now on I will be called Xiao Tian Tian, as sweet as your name." Chi Manman smiled like a flower, her delicate face was filled with a childish aura, and she smiled very cutely. This bright smile also warmed the little boy's heart, and the sadness gradually dissipated from his heart. Tianyuman, who dreamed about what happened when she was a child, had a sweet smile on her lips. The little boy's face in the dream suddenly and slowly grew up, and finally grew into Tanyu's face, smiling warmly at her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 377. Chapter 377. The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 1. Chapter 377. The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 1. Then, Tianyuman woke up and instantly sat up from the bed, her eyes widened. She still clearly remembers the scene in the dream, which was a true story from her childhood. What made her even more confused was not the memories of her childhood. Instead, Tanyuj coincided with the little boy in his memory. How is it possible? Why do the two faces overlap? Could it be? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Tianyuman turned to look at the sleeping man next to her. Looking at his monster-like face, it once again overlapped with the little boy in her memory. The more she looked at it, the more he looked like him. The more she looked at him, the more she felt that the Tanyuj in front of her was actually him. Why is this happening? She didn't realize it before, but the more she looked at it today, the more she felt that they looked similar, and the more she looked at them, the more she felt that they were the same person. Why is this happening? Tianyuman asked herself again, could it be a coincidence? Why do they look so similar? Are they the same person? This is impossible. Totally impossible. The scene in her memory was the first time she and brother Wang met. This dream was so strange that it put her in a trance. Tianyuman walked down from the bed, walked to the bedside and looked at the scenery outside. The image in her mind still lingered, always overlapping the two people's faces. Tianyuman's eyes looked around the room. This was the first time Tianyuman looked at the room so carefully. There seemed to be a voice in her heart asking her to do so. She walked slowly to a row of art decorations, and with sharp eyes saw a picture frame placed behind her back. Her hand reached out to the photo frame. When she saw the photo in the photo frame clearly, her eyes almost popped out of her head and she was so shocked. This is a family portrait of Tanyuj's family. All the Tang family members she had ever seen were inside, and there was a time in the lower right corner of this photo, which was taken 10 years ago. The photo was an ordinary family photo, nothing different. What shocked Qian Yuman was the people in the photo. The three brothers of the Tang family are quite different in age, so it is easy to tell who they are when you see the photos. Tanyuj in the photo was wearing a straight suit, and the familiar face appeared before her eyes, completely overlapping with the person in her memory. It's just that he is a little different from the person in his memory. The melancholy in his eyes is not as strong as in his memory, and the corner of his mouth is not a warm smile, but a cynical smile, just like now. The little boy in the photo was no longer familiar to her. He was teenage Wang Tiankai. But why is this happening? 15-year-old Tanyuj looks exactly like Wang Tiankai when he was a child. It is impossible for someone of the same age to have the same face in the world, unless he is a twin like her and Lili. But Wang Tiankai is the child of Uncle Wang, and Tanyuj is the child of the Tang family. How can the two be related? It didn't look like they knew each other before. If they were biological brothers, why hadn't I heard from Grandma Tang that Tanyuj had a younger brother? Furthermore, the two people's current appearance is quite different. There are some similarities, but it can be seen that the two are not brothers, let alone identical twins. Tanyuj and Tang Feishan are 67% similar. If she had to say twins, she believed that Tanyuj and Tang Feishan were twin brothers. Then why did they look exactly the same when they were children? Could it be? End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 378. Chapter 378 The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family too. Chapter 378 The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family too. Qian Yuman was puzzled and became even more confused when looking at the photos. Countless possibilities were considered in her mind. She put down the photo in her hand and turned to look at Tanyuj, who was still sleeping soundly. Perhaps he still has something to hide from her, or maybe the two of them met earlier. A bold speculation appeared in her mind, and its credibility was getting stronger and stronger. Outside the door, a group of people were walking in at this moment, including Grandma Tang, Dad Tang, Lu Rong, Tang Feishan, Tang Xingai, Tang Xinglu, and Qi Yuking. Basically everyone from the Tang family was there. We were having breakfast early in the morning, and after Qi Yuking arrived, Tang Xinglu told her family that she saw a woman hanging out with her brother in his room last night, and everyone knew this person. At first, the Tang family did not believe that Tanyuj would bring a woman home, but Tang Xinglu assured her again and again that the eldest brother had indeed brought an unreasonable woman back. In order to find out, a group of people from the Tang family rushed over. A group of people rushed over vigorously and arrived at the door of Tanyuj's room. Tang Xinglu banged the door hard. "Brother, open the door quickly." Tang Xinglu smiled happily because she knew that Teacher Mei was finished and would be caught this time. She got up early in the morning and passed by Teacher Mei's guest room. Driven by curiosity, she opened the door and went in, but she didn't see Teacher Mei inside. After asking the servant, it was confirmed that Teacher Mei had not left at all, and they immediately guessed that Teacher Mei was in Tanyuj's room. She immediately called Qi Yuking and explained the matter. Qi Yuking rushed over immediately, preparing to expose Teacher Mei's true face through live broadcast. Tang Xinglu slapped the door of Tanyuj's room hard and shouted loudly, "Brother, open the door quickly. If you don't open the door, I will unlock it and come in." Tang Xinglu had already prepared, so she had a spare key in her hand that could open the key to Tanyuj's room. Qian Yuman was shocked to see the photo in the room. When she heard someone knocking on the door, she suddenly raised her head and put down the photo frame in her hand, with a look of horror on her face. "I'm going to die. Is there Tang Xinglu outside?" Why are you looking for Tanyuj so early in the morning? She looked up at the clock and saw that it was already 7 o'clock. If she had known that she would get up earlier and sneak back to the guest room, what would she do now? It was all because of the strange dream that made her forget her situation. Tanyuj woke up from his sleep in bed and saw Qian Yuman looking around anxiously for clothes to wear, and even almost wore her clothes inside out because of nervousness. Hearing clearly that the person shouting outside the door was Tang Xinglu, he immediately realized what was going on. Qian Yuman finally got dressed and ran to the balcony, preparing to climb out. Tanyuj was so frightened that his back went cold. He stepped forward and hugged his wife's waist, and said nervously, "Honey, calm down and don't be impulsive. This is the 3rd floor. What if something happens to you when you climb down? Don't forget that you are pregnant now." Qian Yuman looked like she was about to cry, scratching her hair with a headache. "I'm going to die. I was so anxious that I forgot that I was pregnant. Look at you, someone who is about to become a mother is still so reckless." Tanyuj was still in the mood to make fun of her. Qian Yuman pointed at Tang Xinglu, who was still knocking on the door with a headache. "Why don't you leave? She won't really want to open the door and come in." Tanyuj shrugged and looked at the door in confusion. His sister was indeed very strange today. "Yuj, are you awake? Open the door quickly." Father Tang's voice sounded with a hint of impatience. "What? And Dad Tang?" Qian Yuman's eyes really popped out this time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 379. Chapter 379. The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 3. Chapter 379. The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 3. Qian Yuman is going crazy. Why is Father Tang still outside? Are there more people outside? Sure enough, what he had guessed was confirmed in the next second, and there was chatter outside. "Mr. Tang, why are your family members outside the door? Are they here to catch an adulterer?" Tanyuj twitched his lips in embarrassment. It was obviously yes, otherwise they wouldn't have come to him early in the morning. They even had the keys in their hands. Normally they would have said a few words and left without responding. Qian Yuman returned to the room and anxiously looked for a place to hide. She knew that now was the critical moment and she must not let the Tang family find out that she was Tanyuj's wife. She didn't even want to formally meet the Tang family in this way, for fear that Grandma Tang, who had feudal ideas, would hate her for this. Looking around, the only place she could hide in was the cabinet. She got in without hesitation and closed the cabinet door. Qian Yuman hiding in the cabinet has very rich expressions and can change into many expressions in 1 second. Unexpectedly, in less than a week, the situation changed. Once, Tanyuj was stuffed into a cupboard to hide, but now she was hiding. This time, it was even more embarrassing and there were more people. At that time, there was only her best friend Xiao Xiaofeng, so everything was easy to talk about. It was just embarrassing for her. Now it was her husband's family outside. If this was known, she would just hang herself with noodles. It was all her fault for being careless. She couldn't even imagine what kind of tragedy would happen if she was caught. Sleeping with your husband, you still have to hide in the closet to avoid being caught. It is also unprecedented, the first time in history. At the moment Qian Yuman closed the door, everyone who had been knocking on the door for a long time opened the door and barged in. Tanyuj only had a bath towel tied around his waist at the moment. He was standing on the balcony, looking at the family members who broke into the room, frowning slightly and said displeasedly, "What are you doing? You didn't let me sleep so early in the morning, and you even used a spare key to open the door and come in without my permission." The Tang family swarmed in. The first thing Tang Xinglu did when she broke in was to look everywhere for Teacher Mei. Where is the person? Where is Teacher Mei? Tang Xinglu's words made it clear to others that the person in the room was Teacher Mei. Tang Yuj angrily scolded Tang Xinglu. Xinglu, what are you talking about? What about Teacher Mei? Tang Xinglu was not afraid of him either. She held her head high and spoke firmly. Brother, don't think that I don't know that there is a woman hiding in your room, and that person is Xingai's tutor, Teacher Mei. Nonsense, what are you talking about? Are you confused when you come to my room to look for a woman early in the morning? Get out quickly and don't disturb my rest. Tang Yuz's whole body exuded deep displeasure, and his eyes when looking at Tang Xinglu became even more intense. It's a bit colder. He knew exactly why his wife wanted to hide, and he also knew that if Qian Yuman met her family in this situation, it would be difficult for her to raise her head in front of her family in the future. Therefore, he must drive these people away. Brother, Teacher Mei is obviously here with you, do you dare to let us search? Seeing Tang Yuz's current appearance, Tang Xinglu was a little scared, but she still insisted on exposing Teacher Mei's true face. She held on and tried to digest what her brother had brought to her. Pressure. Tang Wentao's eyes swept around and landed on the messy big bed. How could he not see that there was something wrong with the room despite his rich experience? It seemed that what my daughter said was true, someone had really sneaked into the room. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 380. Chapter 380 The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 4. Chapter 380 The couple caught in adultery by the Tang family. 4. Yuj, you are too ridiculous. You and Yuking broke off their marriage for a woman, and now you are messing around with your tutor at home. Is this your attitude towards your marriage? Tang Wentao taught Tang Yuj a stern lesson. Tang Yuj snorted coldly, with a mocking smile on his lips. You have no right to criticize me. No matter how messed up I am, I will still be more responsible than you. Besides, I didn't mess around at all, and I didn't feel sorry for my wife. Don't think of others with your dirty thoughts. Qi Yuking raised her head instantly. She had been watching silently and had no intention of participating vocally. However, she was extremely shocked when she heard the conversation of the Tang family. Breaking off an engagement with a woman because of her? And brother Yu has a wife? Could it be that after brother Yu broke off the engagement with her, he married another woman? Why didn't she hear anything about it? No wonder brother Yu insisted on breaking off the engagement with her. Qi Yuking looked at Tang Yuj with sad eyes, and her whole body was in sadness. She didn't listen to what the Tang family said next, and was immersed in the bad news of Tang Yuz's marriage. The atmosphere between Tang Yuj and Tang's father is getting more and more irritable, and their conversations are becoming more and more discordant. Tang Yuj may even get angry at any time. Get out, you know I don't like you entering my room, and now the whole family comes out to catch me. Even if there is something, I won't let you search it, let alone nothing. Tang Yuj looked at Tang Wentao with cold eyes, and looked towards the eyes of my sister, and Qi Yuking were even colder. Qi Yuking Ninj was there early in the morning, which meant something. She was obviously instigating her sister. We'll go out after we finish searching. I'll let you out. Tang Yuj roared angrily, his anger rising and ready to explode at any time. What, you feel guilty? You are angry at us on purpose? Father Tang sneered. The more his son tried to drive him out, the more it proved that there was a woman in the room. Originally I was just curious to see what my daughter wanted to do, but now I directly confronted Tang Yuj. Father and son have been at odds for more than 2 years. The two will not give each other face at all, and they directly compete with each other, neither giving in to the other. Tang Yuj snorted coldly, not wanting to continue talking to them, and directly drove them away. Brother, do you dare to let us search? For example, the cabinet? Tang Xinglu shouted unwillingly, dragging Tang Feishan behind, who was watching calmly. "Second brother, go open the cabinet and take a look. You will definitely be surprised." At this moment, Tang Yu's expression finally lost its tension, revealing a trace of nervousness. Stepped forward to stop the younger sister and younger brother, but were caught by their father. He couldn't take action against his father. Firstly, it would be unfilial to deal with him. Secondly, if he took action, it would be a sure sign that there was someone inside. It seems that there is really no way to stop it today. The matter of my wife was discovered in this embarrassing situation. Had I known that this was the case, I brought my wife back a few days ago. Although my family was surprised, it was not like this. Tang Feishan was pushed a few steps by his sister. He looked at her in confusion, and then saw his elder brother's ugly face, and his breathing was stagnant. "I'll go take a look. If there's no one, just get out and don't embarrass the elder brother. You also know that the elder brother doesn't like people entering his room." Tang Feishan opened his mouth and said a few good words for his elder brother. Tang Xinglu nodded happily. She was sure that it was teacher Mei and her second brother's fiancé Qi Lile. End of this chapter.